Welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. I'm Eric, and fajitas are one of my favorite Mexican foods. So on today's show, we're going to make marinade for steak and chicken fajitas. We're going to go ahead and cut up the meat and prepare them. We're going to make the marinade, and then we're going to store them in the refrigerator for 4 to 6 hours so they get this really big flavor. And then we're going to have another video after that where we're going to break out my 15-inch cast iron pan and put down the Weber, and we're going to grill it up, and it's just going to be great. So why don't you join us for making of the marinade for the steak and chicken fajitas. So we're going to be using 4 onions and 4 bell peppers. If you're using big onions, you might get away with 1 less maybe. Because we are doing 3 pounds of beef and 2 pounds of chicken, that's why we're using so much. If you're using less meat, you can maybe cut this recipe in half. So first thing is, we already have most of everything chopped up. We're just doing this to show you here. I don't have any knife skills, so this is just for demonstration purposes, right? Go ahead and cut this into half moon slices, as Amy calls them. These. They're gonna fall apart because they are half moons, right? So, and now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut up the bell pepper. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the top off a little bit. Trim the bottom off a little bit. And then we're gonna cut these ribs a little bit, get the seeds out. And then we're just gonna cut these into thin strips, right? We are done with the onions and bell peppers. So for the marinade, we are going to use 1.5 heads of garlic that we're going to chop up in the food processor. Once again, if you're using less meat, then just use 1 head of garlic. Okay, so we hit the chop about 80 times. We don't want to liquefy it. We just want it to be in little pieces. Peeling garlic as much as I do, you want to get every nugget, right? Once again, as a warning, we're going to do our recipe for all the meat we got. We're going to post it on the website as if it's a single recipe, so you don't have to do the math in case you're cooking less meat, okay? We're going to juice the limes of like 8 limes, so we've already cut them in half. And make sure you use fresh limes. We bought these yesterday, so they're good. Do not use lime concentrate. It just doesn't taste the same, and face it, this is all about big flavor and all the good stuff, right? So do good. So I give the Black & Decker a thumbs up because it's only $5. But if you spent $50, I'd give it 2 thumbs down. So I used 8 limes, and we got about 10 ounces out of them. So that's a little over 1 ounce each. So I pretty much killed them. We didn't do any pulp. That's a personal choice. If you want pulp, by all means, choose that. Now we're going to add 1.5 cups olive oil, 3/4 cup of water, 4 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 tablespoons each of salt and pepper, 1/4 cup of cumin, 2 bunches of cilantro. Next, we'll mix to combine. So we have 4 cups of marinade, and because we're gonna have 4 baggies, 2 for the veggies and 2 for the meat, we're gonna put 1 cup per bag. So we'll go ahead. It's easier for me just to do this so I don't have to worry about dunking it everywhere. So get him in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just seal it first with a bunch of air so I can kind of rotate this around and kind of get it going. And then I'm going to go ahead and squeeze the air out. So right now, got a pretty good coating on this. So let's go ahead and get the air out. So that way everybody lives close together, perfect harmony, loving each other, right? See right there, no air. They're all happy. These guys are gonna go in the fridge and then we're gonna work on our meat. So we got 4 chicken breasts and then we just trimmed them up and then we butterflied them so they're even thickness. If you wanna see us butterflying them, then watch our video, chicken and mushrooms with rice. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take a fork and just poke some holes in here to help the marinade get in here. And while I'm doing this, a quick word on marinating is, because marinade has an acid in there, in this case, it's the lime juice. You don't want to burn your meat. So depending upon what you're using, you can leave it in there for 24 hours if you want, but sometimes you take a chance of ruining the meat. The texture can get ruined over that. Sometimes it actually gets kind of burnt. So if your meat is tender, you don't want to leave it in that long. Some people leave it in for 2 days. It just depends on how big your meat is, or should I say the surface area, and how much it's just sitting in. For chicken, usually a couple hours. I mean, sometimes you can just leave it in for a half hour. You just want to get something in there. This, along with the steak we're going to be using, the steak is actually kind of tough cut of meat. So that overnight is good. My goal is a minimum of 4 hours if I'm in a hurry. Now that I've poked my meat, I'm going to go ahead and get some marinade in there, right? Cut. Let's put just a little bit more. I'm going to leave, get this sealed. Just want to get it coated. I'm going to put too much liquid in here. You want it to be covered, but at some point, if your marinade is too liquidy, when you cook it, you're just dealing with slop, and then you got to like get it out. But you definitely want enough to cover it, and you may need to, you know, flip it over every hour, half hour, however often you want it to, so it's even. So in this case, it's covered pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the fridge. Now that we're getting ready to do the steak part of our fajitas, we went to the international market yesterday where we shot some footage on the different types of meat that you can choose for that. So we're at a local international market, which sometimes can have really good prices compared to supermarkets, and the variety can sometimes surprise you. We come here because we want, good produce. But when it comes to certain meat, like fajitas, sometimes international markets cannot be beat. Now here they've got, and I just want to show you for comparison purposes, here's flap meat, which is good for fajitas. And you see this is like a big bulk piece that's probably 3 pieces, probably this piece here, another piece there, and I think one more underneath there. So you can slice it into little strips if you want. Now they've got here, I'm gonna put that aside, here it looks like they've already done that for you on this particular package. Another good meat for fajitas, some people use, is flank steak, which is another tough meat, but very flavorful. But you see how lean it is? There's very little fat. So less fat equals less flavor. The flap meat is really popular for this. And we'll of course show you how to cook this in a few minutes. So we went with the flap meat. It has a little bit of the marbling, and it's already cut into individual pieces like this. So we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of stabbing. This meat is very tough. So one of the things that you should notice before you even marinate it is what direction does the grain go. The reason for that is you're going to want to slice this against the grain. I don't care, that'll cook up, right? So ultimately, after we get done grilling, we're going to want to go lengthwise because that's going to cut because the grain is going at a diagonal like this. So as long as we're perpendicular or just going lengthwise, it'll cut across. If you cut like with the grain, it's going to be more chewy. It is thin, so that helps, but it's still going to be chewy, and you definitely don't want that. So now that we've got about 3 pounds of fajita meat in here, I'm going to go ahead and get all this in here. I like a little in here. And we'll put these bad boys in the fridge for at least 4 hours. 6 hours is obviously not going to hurt, right? So make sure that you leave the meat and the vegetables in the marinade for 4 to 6 hours for the biggest flavor. And also check out our next video where we're going to break out my 15-inch cast iron pan, we're going to throw it on the Weber, and we're going to grill it all up. If you like this recipe, subscribe below and check out our website, which is amylearnstocook.com, and we're also on Pinterest and Twitter at Amy Learns to Cook. And I don't even know where the button is. The damn button to start.
There's no button, you just put it on there.
Oh. Take your booty. Take your booty. Shake, shake. This is not getting on film, right?